Well, it was nearly 1 year ago that President Obama announced the prison camp at Gitmo will be closed within a year. But as this deadline approaches, the only thing that seems to be closing in on the president is growing demand that he fulfill his promises. Joining me now to discuss if and when the president may reach this goal is military defense lawyer Major Eric Montalvo. Major Montalvo, tomorrow is the day. That is the day that Guantanamo Bay was supposed to be closed. Talk to me about why you think that this hasn't happened.
Well, I think one reflection that we should have is on the fact that the government cannot function on multi-planes. I mean, you know, we've had the health care crisis, we've had, you know, the financial crisis, we've had all of these crises, you know, encountering the president, and then Guantanamo Bay has just fallen off the map. And so I have great concern that the government is not able to delegate responsibility to important areas and push them forward. The other problem that you have is funding. You know, the cost associated with moving these detainees, with implementing a new process. I mean, these were hard questions left over from the Bush administration, and it's been very difficult to gather people around these issues and focus their attention when you have all the other competing interests. So, you know, it's been a combination of inability to govern on different levels and then, you know, get people to rally around one answer.
And I would add something else, and I want to hear your reaction to this. I mean, we have, for the last few weeks, been talking about the attempted bombing of a plane on Christmas Day. We found out that the prime suspect in this, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, was trained in Yemen. We also found out that some quite a few prisoners at Guantanamo Bay are from Yemen. So there is a challenge in justifying sending them back to this country where we now know is a place where a lot of terrorists are trained. I mean, talk to me about what you think about that.
Well, there are a couple of things. One, we have not done a good job of putting people back in their country and helping them get back to some normalcy. I mean, we're depriving people of freedom. We don't even know if they're guilty. So we're creating a problem in and of itself by continuing to detain them in Guantanamo. Once they get back, the rehabilitation, as I said, is not occurring. We have no interest in perpetuating their ability to, you know, get a job, have some income. This is the case in my case in Jawad. The other part of this is a failure of intelligence. We have access to these people for the last 6, 7, 8 years. Where's the intelligence apparatus in determining who is a true threat? If we can't determine who a true threat is, you know, when we have observation of this individual for 5, 6, 7 years, what makes us think that we're going to be able to do that out in the world? And then the other thing is, I think we have missed opportunities. If there is a real bad guy amongst, you know, the group that's in Guantanamo, who's to say we can't let them get out and then follow them to the rest of the bad guys? So, I mean, you know, there are a couple of different missed opportunities and lack of creative thinking and how to solve some of these problems that is quite disturbing.
And it's probably, could also be argued that some of these prisoners who, as you say, have been held 4, 5, 6 years, maybe some of them not guilty, their anger probably builds over that time. And perhaps even a greater reason for them to want to go back and train to someday attack the country that held them hostage. Talk to me about, I know a major concern here about Guantanamo Bay continuing to be open is from U.S. soldiers, is from Marines, from people who are actually going and fighting these wars. They're concerned about what it could do to them. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, it's a matter of perspective, right? And if you are a service member, which I have been for 21 years, I just came back from Afghanistan. And if they have concern about detention facilities affecting, you know, the long-term struggle, you know, what about Bagram? What about Pul-e-Charkhi? What about the detention facilities that are on the ground, you know, in the face of troops, and that people in those countries become antagonistic toward, because that's the animus that draws them, you know, in what we're doing over there. So Guantanamo Bay for the rest of the world is sort of a fading light to some extent, and I think you haven't heard any countries, you know, speaking out, demanding these people's release. So, you know, in the sense of what is the struggle, it's about political ideology, about religion. You know, we need to attend to those things within areas of operation that we're in, and I don't believe the service members are really that concerned about what's going on in Guantanamo Bay. They're more concerned about the fight that they're in Afghanistan and what we're doing in those countries.
But you don't think that the people that they're fighting against have greater, perhaps have, you know, a greater anger towards them because they see, you know, things like Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay?
Well, the thing with Abu Ghraib is that, you know, there was abuse. And we have instances of abuse. We have the drones that are going in and bombing. We have collateral damage occurring every day in the operations. Those are the things that are getting people up in the day and getting them aggravated toward our cause. And it's our presence in other people's countries, occupying their land, doing things that they don't agree with, that's really stirring the pot. And I think Guantanamo has really lost some of that edge because what's going on there? They're just there. They're getting 3 meals a day. They're being, you know, treated well. They're getting their health care. I mean, you know, what's the outrage at this point? So, you know, I think that we really need to focus our eye on what we're doing in the countries that we're in and how we're aggravating the situation by what we're doing instead of, you know, thinking that either closing or opening Guantanamo Bay is really going to alter the course of any struggle that we're in.
So that's my question. I mean, this goal to close Guantanamo Bay, obviously it's probably not going to be met in the next 24 hours. What do you think? What do you think it's needed? Do you think we need more Guantanamo Bays? Do you think, I mean... Well,
I certainly don't advocate more Guantanamo Bays. I think that what you're going to find is the Guantanamo Bay is not going to go away anytime soon. My prediction would be it would remain throughout President Obama's current term. I think that they're going to find it very difficult to move these people onto U.S. soil and contend with that issue through lack of funding and political will. You know, you see the latest politics and what's going on. So it's becoming more and more difficult to not only, you know, move these people onto U.S. soil, but have the political capital to make tougher decisions to move the process forward. So I think that you're going to find that military commissions may become a more attractive option to the administration, and that, you know, Guantanamo Bay it's a state-of-the-art facility. We've already invested millions of dollars. I just don't anticipate they're just going to abandon that process and allow it to you know, go into demise.
All right, Major Montalvo, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you.